What's up guys, Houndish here, today with some Destiny 2 news, most of this coming from a new interview on an Italian website, multiplayer.it, and this is a new interview with Luke Smith about Destiny 2, and there are a few interesting bits of information in here. So I'm going to read some of the questions and answers inside of this interview. The first question is, how does Destiny 2 answer the biggest criticisms that have been made about the original title? And Luke Smith says, I think there is one main aspect on which we have worked a lot with this sequel. First of all, there is this idea of the world that involves you. This story literally sucks you inside, where the characters and environments are consistent and above all make you feel a sense of progression. The narrative is really central, and the player can understand that history is going in a definite direction. When we started to build Destiny 2, we immediately focused on telling a story with a credible and coherent narrative. And Luke Smith says that from the beginning, this new story serves as a starting point for that sense of progression, and that having a consistent distribution of new content is an innate problem for the Destiny franchise that will be solved once and for all with Destiny 2. So that's a pretty bold statement right there. They're essentially saying content droughts, lack of things to do, will be a thing of the past. Luke Smith goes on to say we've already announced a season pass that will give access to 2 DLC expansions, which are to be launched on the market in time periods that players can imagine considering what was done with the first Destiny. But we have a broader roadmap for what concerns the content, because one of the things we've learned over time is that players consume content faster than we can create it. So essentially what they're saying here is that content within the base game of Destiny has been designed to be, upgradable and replayable over time, and obviously there's going to be a lot of content in this new game. It will take us weeks, months, hopefully. And the difference with Destiny 2 as well is that with the original game, they already had a content plan. Dark Below and House of Wolves was something they were thinking about before release, but this time they know what players expect. So on top of what we already know, this is pretty good to hear. Now the next question is pretty out there, and we know how these conversations tend to go, but the interviewer says, let me talk to you about the Destiny 2 raid. I know you can't give me any details, but I have 2 very quick questions. The first one is, when can we expect the raid to release? Is it going to be in the base game? And Luke Smith says, yes, it will be in the game and will be available during the launch period, but I cannot give you an exact date at the moment. And he goes on to say, what I can tell you is that the first raid has a very similar release date schedule as that of the King's Fall and Wrath of the Machine raids. We will announce later what the date will be, but the date will allow players to be quite powerful and be equipped to deal with this challenge. We'll reveal more later in the summer. So that's a very interesting point right there. King's Fall and Wrath of the Machine came out, I believe, later the same week as those particular expansions. There could be a little bit lost in translation here, perhaps, but it could be possible that Bungie are making the normal mode version of the raid at a level, which follows on very quickly from the story in Destiny 2, and then of course the hard mode raid could be a much more endgame thing with perhaps a bigger light level or difficulty gap than what we've seen previously. A lot of stuff's been redesigned in Destiny, so, raids and where they fit into the endgame could have been changed as well. The next question is, what kind of mechanics can we expect from the first raid? And Luke Smith says, I will try to answer your questions in an interesting way by telling you the emotions which players experience, as I cannot go into any more details. The team working on the raid has several children and loves them all equally. The Vault of Glass is a raid that likes to separate players in places. Crota's End is a raid that has some sort of memory that is built around the hero who will use the sword. King's Fall is a raid that will be remembered for the absurd puzzle-related jumps, while Wrath of the Machine is completely based on voting who is going to do what. With the 5th raid, what we wanted to achieve is a raid that players will be able to look upon and feel like it's a real place. For me, a very fun part of the raid is the sensation the first time you enter it with your friends, and you're there and you're trying to figure out what to do and what kind of challenges you face. So while there isn't tons of information in there, we can deduce a couple of interesting things. Like I said, it would be particularly interesting to see a raid launch, within a couple of weeks, if that's what they mean by making reference to Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall. We could perhaps see some systematic changes to raids in that respect. There is a quick question about why hardcore players or clans would open up their games to strangers who have never completed activities before. Of course, they're talking about guided games, and Luke Smith says one of the challenges they're working on is how you reward that. Of course, we know that there will be some kind of reputation system for clans, but there isn't much more that they have to tell us right now. There are a few other questions in there that are pretty interesting. It is in Italian, and I've translated it for this video, but I will link the article description down below. Finally though, I just wanted to let you guys know about the preload for Destiny 2. So this is confirmed for PlayStation 4, but if you actually go onto the Game Hub for Destiny 2, it says the expected auto download date will be the 3rd of September 2017. So if you're on PlayStation, 3rd of September, you'll be able to download everything you need for Destiny 2. Bungie did also confirm previously that there would be a day one patch dropping for Destiny 2. PlayStationUniverse.com say that some Xbox One players are reporting they've received emails from Microsoft stating that they'll be able to download the game on September the 5th. So whatever happens, you'll definitely be able to preload Destiny 2, which of course will be very useful. Many gigabytes of downloading to do, and you don't want to be doing that on day one. But that about sums up this video, guys. Some interesting words about the raid and the content design for Destiny 2. So let me know what you guys think about this news down below. But if you have enjoyed the video, a like rating is super appreciated. It really helps me out on the channel. If you're new to the channel as well, feel free to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. Before I go anywhere else, I should say GuardianCon this year has raised over $1 million for St. Jude's, which is a children's charity in the US, and all of this has been done via the live streams which have been happening before the event, which is going on over this weekend. $1 million is absolutely incredible. Many of the biggest streamers and YouTube people have been, streaming for charity over the past few days, so that is absolutely incredible. And if you've shown your support in those streams, made donations, if you're going to GuardianCon this year, then it is fantastic that you're, giving to this much greater cause. Anyway, for now, thanks a lot for watching, guys. You have an awesome day.